Okay, we are live on Facebook. Hello, everyone. My name is Kelly Cohen, and I am the director of JumpSpark here in Atlanta. JumpSpark drives innovative teen programming out of the Jewish Federation of Greater Atlanta, and we are very excited to be stepping into the role of providing more Israel opportunities for Atlanta's Jewish teens. We are thrilled to be launching our Atlanta Israel Gap Year Scholarship, a $10,000 to $15,000 scholarship towards a gap year in Israel. Studies have shown that an exploratory year between high school and college often contributes to a boost in performance when students enter college. Additionally, students who participate in a gap year programs are often more mature, self-reliant, independent, and employable than non-gap year students. At a time when the college experience could be a virtual one, a gap year in Israel guarantees an international communal living and growth experience that simply cannot be beat. There are a diverse number of programs that are part of our scholarship, and they span a range of focus areas, cities, and religious affiliations. There is an Israel gap year experience for anyone, and we are here to help you find the right one for you. Today, we are so excited to be learning more about Aardvark Israel. Aardvark is actually not just one program, it's kind of a whole suite of programs. And we are going to try to dig into all of them over the next hour. But with all of these amazing offerings they have, we cannot get to everything. So this is going to be a first taste. And if this is the right program for you, we're going to encourage you to reach out and find out more. I am joined today by Simon Cohen, the Director of Admissions and a co-founder of Aardvark Israel, Natasha Pachter, an admissions coordinator for Aardvark Israel, and Yitzi Zlati, who went on Aardvark Israel to talk specifically about his experience. So thank you all for joining me here today, and I am going to hand it off right now to Simon to go ahead and get started.
Hi, thanks very much. I appreciate that. And again, I'm Simon Cohen. I am one of the founders of the Aardvark Israel program and the director of admissions. Thanks to Yitz for joining us. He did the Aardvark Israel Gap Year program last year. And Tash is one of the team who helps the admissions staff as well. And she's particularly focused on Atlanta. So if you have questions afterwards, she will be the one following up with you. We've got a lot of information to get through. So I'm going to share my screen and we're going to go quite quickly through all of our different programs, and then we'll have time for questions at the end for all of us. So I'll share my screen without further ado. So the Aardvark Israel programs, we offer 4 different gap year programs for Jewish students from all over the world, aged 17 to 21. The 4 programs are our core program, which is the Aardvark Israel Gap Year or Semester program, our tech track, which is known as Big Idea, which is for people really interested in technology and doing a coding course and really interning in a high-tech startup company, our Pioneer Israel Gap Year program, which is for those more interested in old school Zionism with a modern day twist of getting to know the land of Israel and working the land of Israel and environmentalism and ecology and all sorts of things like that. And our final option is called Year of Service, the Massa Year of Service. And we'll talk about each of these individually as we go through. We'll start with the core program, the Aardvark Israel Gap Year and Semester program. This is a very customizable program. The idea here being to offer you a program where you get to pick and choose from the menu of opportunities we offer and build the version of the program that works best for you. This is not a program based on your school or a youth movement and its ideology, or your parents, but on you yourselves and what you as a young adult want to do and how you want to build your own deep personal connection with Israel. So we offer a lot of different options and we'll go through them right now. That starts with the length of time you come for. We have a semester option, which is a 4 or 4.5 month option, either the full semester or the spring semester. And we have the full gap year option, which is a 9-month program from September through to the end of May. If you come for one semester, you're in one of our cities. And if you come for the whole year, you get to be in both of our cities. I'll talk about both of our cities in just a minute, but you can already see here, Jerusalem and Tel Aviv, 2 phenomenal places. Now, a few things that make us unique. We have one of the best staff to student ratios of any program in Israel. And that allows us to offer this tailor-made modular curriculum, this element of customization, which makes our program very unique. Our international student population is also something that's unique. And we also strive to find the right balance between structure and free time on our program. And I would say that our students will tell you that we've done pretty well at finding that good balance. You know, it's not school and it's not summer camp. You need free time. We want you to become young, independent adults on our program. And so there's plenty of free time that allows you to do that. We also give you the option to live in the heart of Tel Aviv and Jerusalem, the two main cities in Israel. Find your passion through interning and volunteering, study fascinating topics with the option to earn a full year of university credits, and explore everything Israel has to offer through our trips and excursions. I'll explain each of those in a little bit more detail as we go through, starting with the student population, because that's really a very unique element of our program. The fact that the students are coming on our program from all over the world. You're not going to be in a little American Jewish bubble or even North American Jewish bubble. There are people coming from all over South America, Central America, all over Europe, Australia, South Africa. Our most random people have come from the Philippines, and we even had a Jew a couple of years ago from a place called Swaziland. I couldn't even tell you where that was in the map before she signed up for the program, let her know that there were actually Jews who lived in this place called Swaziland. It was amazing. So imagine you coming from Atlanta, and there's you from Atlanta living in an apartment with a kid from Sao Paulo, another kid from Antwerp, a kid from Sydney, Australia, kid from Johannesburg, and somebody from Bolivia. When else in your life are you ever going to get to do something like that, to live with young Jewish students from all over the world like that? And that makes our program a very unique, standout program in terms of all the other gap year programs that are out there. Now, in terms of our location, I kind of hinted at it before, but we're based smack bang in the middle of Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. In Tel Aviv, we're in the Florentine neighborhood, a very trendy neighborhood. And in Jerusalem, we're really near Machane Yehuda, which is Nachlaot area. A fantastic location. To show you in a little bit more detail, for those who know the cities well, in Florentine, on the left-hand side, you have Tel Aviv. Florentine is a 10-minute walk to the beach. It's the heart of the spice market. In the daytime, it's bustling with shops and cafes. And at nighttime, it's full of restaurants, bars, cafes, even clubs as well. It's really the heart of everything. Everything that's going on in Tel Aviv is really going on in Florentine. It's a phenomenal place to live. Students will absolutely love it. You can ask Yitzi afterwards if you don't believe me. And then in Jerusalem, we're in, again, as I said, Machane Yehuda. It's a 10-minute walk to the old city of Jerusalem. When else in your life are you ever going to be able to live a 10-minute walk from the old city of Jerusalem? And that's a pretty unique opportunity. It's 5 minutes from Ben Yehuda Street and 5 minutes from Gan Sacher, which is like our version of Central Park. And it's a really phenomenal location. And you're going to live in both of those places in apartments. Now, these are fully furnished apartments. They have everything you could possibly need in the apartments. Each apartment has anywhere from 3 to 7 students in it, depending on the size of the apartment, the number of bedrooms, the number of bathrooms. And we have different levels of religious observance. So we have apartments that are kosher and Shomer Shabbat, apartments that are kosher but not necessarily Shomer Shabbat, and apartments that are neither kosher nor Shomer Shabbat either. And that way you can all be comfortable in your apartment, because your apartment is your home and everyone should be comfortable in their home. Or a lot of the apartments have spare beds or pull-out couches as well, so that you can host friends in your apartment, in your home, because you should be able to host friends who want to come and stay with you for the weekend or stuff like that in your home. Now, the goal of one of the beauties of the apartment is we want you to become a young, independent adult in our program. That means living in an apartment like a young adult in Israel and learning life skills, how to cook for yourself, clean for yourself, doing your own laundry, learning how to budget, doing your own grocery shopping. And at the same time, meeting with these young people from all over the world. So it's very much about you becoming a young independent adult and learning all of these life skills to set you in good stead for the future as well. And that's relevant for all of our programs, and I'll touch on that in each of the other programs as well. In terms of the weekly schedule, this is the core program, and I'll run you through it, and then we'll go into a little bit more detail. The work week in Israel starts on a Sunday and runs through to Thursday evening, and weekends start Thursday night and run through to Sunday morning. Now, most weekends on our program are free. That is your time to explore Israel, visit friends, visit family, travel around. You are welcome to stay in your apartment, and you're welcome to host people in your apartment as well. But we do have some optional Shabbotonim and a couple of mandatory Shabbotonim per semester, and it's up to you whether or not you come to the optional Shabbotonim. Beyond that, during the week, you can see the 3 main aspects of the program are internships or volunteering, which take place Sunday, Monday, and Wednesdays. Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, and Thursdays from around 10 in the morning to around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. There are classes which take Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday mornings from around 8:30 to 10, and in Monday and Wednesday afternoon, depending on how many classes you choose. And every Tuesday, the entire day is set aside for our field trips, where we take you all over Israel. More of that in 1 second. Every evening there's activities going on. Some are optional and some are mandatory. And I'll break that down into a little bit more detail now. In terms of internships and volunteering, in each city we have over 150 different options to choose from. So no matter what you're interested in or what you think you might be interested in, we probably have it for you. Working in high-tech startup companies, political think tanks, NGOs, TV, radio, newspaper, working with a fashion designer, interning with a jewelry designer, in a law firm, an architect firm. It could be in sports, could be in music or dance studios. It could be in museums. Alternatively, if you prefer the more volunteering kind of route, it could be in schools, kindergartens, hospitals, working in an archaeological dig, working with people with special needs or disabilities, working with Holocaust survivors, victims of terror. If you like working with animals, you can work in the zoo or the aquarium, or in a veterinarian or a therapeutic riding center or an animal shelter. The list goes on and on. That's just a small sampling of what we offer. But I think you get to see from that there's really a lot of opportunities for you to do something you're passionate about, do some professional work, professional development, career development, build up your resume in amazing companies, really meaningful positions. And it's a great opportunity not only to build your resume, but also to be immersed in Israeli society, to be interacting with Israelis on a daily basis, using your Hebrew that you're also learning on our program throughout the experience as well. So, and you get to create connections in an industry of your choice as well. So it's a great opportunity for networking. And that's something else that, again, I think really sets our program apart from many of the other programs, giving you this internship and volunteer opportunity on such a level as this, when you're fresh out of high school. And our second most key component is our classes. Now, our classes, you can see they take place in the mornings and the afternoons. Everyone on our program is doing ULPAN. Beyond that, we've got lots of different subjects. Our academic courses are fully accredited by American Jewish University in Los Angeles. You can earn up to 30 credits in a year or 15 credits per semester. And that's transferable to the majority of schools in the States and Canada and in Israel as well. You have the option to do as many classes or as many classes you like, up to 5 per semester, to minimum 3 per semester. Everyone's doing ULPAN. We have Israel study classes. We have Jewish studies classes. We have more secular style classes like psychology, business, politics, history, geography, literature, etc., etc. We also have extracurricular activities for those who want a less academic kind of experience, which could be anything from yoga to creative art, creative writing, spoken Arabic, podcasting, an influencers course. I can go on and on and on, but we're going to run out of time soon. So we offer all of these classes in small private classrooms that are dedicated just for the Aardvark students. We have our own faculty of teachers that are amazing teachers. They've got great feedback, and they're in walking distance of your apartment as well. And that's the academic component of the program. Every Tuesday, the entire day is set aside for our field trips. Now, the majority of our students have been to Israel many times before. So what we want to do on our trips is take you off the beaten track to what we like to call the hidden gems of Israel, those secret places that tourists don't know about. Even Israelis don't get to the place we go to. And that's every single week of the program. We're doing these amazing trips all over the country. Plus, each semester we do 3 longer trips where we spend a few days in the Golan Heights, in the Galil, the Negev Desert, the Judean Desert. We do a kibbutz seminar. So you really get to see the length and breadth of Israel whilst on our program, but not like a tourist, much more like a local would see Israel as well. Every evening there's activities going on. Some are optional and some are mandatory. The mandatory ones include an apartment meeting, which is our time to really check in with you, make sure you're happy on the program, that your apartment is a clean and hygienic place to live, that you guys aren't killing each other in your apartments, etc., etc. And we also have something called the Faces of Israel program, which is our opportunity to expose you to Israeli society, culture, politics, etc., through different activities, guest speakers, or maybe it's a trip to the theater, to a concert, to a sports event, to an art exhibit, street festivals, etc., etc. The rest of the evenings are free, but and you can do whatever you like, as long as it's legal. And then we have optional activities run either by our campus rabbi, and there's sidebar here, we have a campus rabbi running all sorts of Jewish learning activities throughout the week on both campuses. And the rest of our activities are run by our madrichim, and more social group bonding activities, ranging from paintballing to rock climbing to poiko on the beach, acrobalance, graffiti workshop, hummus making workshop, Israeli film night. There's always something going on. It's really up to you whether or not you choose to come to it. And that's the kind of the sample, the core program in a nutshell, I guess. If you want to customize the experience further, we have all different ways to add on to that experience. Now, these things I should add, the things we're about to talk about, they cost a little bit of extra money. So you only do them if you're genuinely interested in them. and it fits in with your family budget for your gap year program. So one thing we have is our special interest add-ons. These are for people, it's kind of, most of them are self-explanatory. Sea Sports is doing a Sea Sports add-on in the full semester in Tel Aviv. It's doing sports on the sea throughout the semester, once a week or sometimes twice a week, doing all sorts of different amazing sports, whether it's kite surfing, scuba diving, and all sorts of other things as well. We have Mada. Mada is volunteering with Magen David Adom and being an EMT with the Israeli ambulances, which is an amazing experience. If you don't like blood, don't do it. But if you are interested in a career in medicine, this is a phenomenal opportunity. Marva is 8 weeks basic training in the Israeli army. Very hardcore. If you really want to know what the Israeli army is all about, this is the program to do it in. We have an entrepreneurship track, which is exactly as it sounds, different workshops, guest speakers and field trips, all to do with entrepreneurship in Israel, which is a really great opportunity, learning how to build a business and run a business. And we have the Aardvark Extreme program, which is for those people who love extreme sports and extreme activities and need their adrenaline fix whilst on their gap year program in Israel. If you're looking for something a little bit different, we have our Stellar Jewish Enrichment track, which is for people who love the idea of our program, but want more opportunities for Jewish learning and spiritual growth whilst on our program. So twice a week, instead of volunteering or internships, you're doing Jewish learning. Once a week is Beit Midrash style learning, which is, as it sounds, learning chevruta, lots of different classes, great teachers, etc., etc. And once a week is Jewish experiences. I like to call it the living Midrash, where we say it's all well and good coming to Israel and learning in a classroom. But if you're in a classroom all day long whilst in Israel, you're missing the whole point of being in Israel, because Israel is one learning laboratory in and of itself. And in Israel, you can learn by doing and by seeing and by experiencing. So, for example, each month we do a Tanakh Tiyul, which is a hike connected to the stories that happened in the Tanakh, in the Bible. We do different Jewish workshops. Not everybody connects to Judaism through Jewish texts and through sources and through rabbis and through shiurim, lectures. So we do a Jewish film workshop, a Jewish dance workshop, a Jewish art workshop, Jewish photography workshop, etc., etc., etc. We do lots of different things around the Jewish holidays as well. And we do all sorts of unique trips as well. My favorite is when we go diving for Tchelet. If you don't know what that is, contact us and we'll tell you. And it's another way for us to get to your contact information. But it's a really, really great opportunity. This program also has Shabbatonim every single month in different communities in and around Israel, traditional Shabbat experiences, but each one is in a very different type of community. And again, if you want more information, I'd love to share it, but we're going to run out of time. So contact us and we'll share more information about the Stellar program. It is a non-coercive Jewish enrichment track for men and women together. Non-coercive means we're not going to force you to daven 3 times a day, pray 3 times a day, or a dress code. We want to increase your knowledge and for you to make your own informed decision about what it means to be Jewish, how to practice and how to observe your Judaism. Very different from all of that is our international add-ons. This is where we say, we know you want to be in Israel in your gap year, but maybe you want to experience some other countries around the world or some other cultures as well. So we offer short trips to different countries around the world whilst you're in Israel. Each semester we do 3 trips. In the first semester we go to Spain, Czech Republic and China. And in the second semester, Ethiopia, Italy and Germany. In each of those countries, we're going to see the main tourist sites and experience the culture of the country you're in. So whether that's the Great Wall of China, the Colosseum in Rome, flamenco dancing, or a Barcelona soccer game in Spain, you're going to see the main, the highlights of each of those countries. But we're also a Jewish educational program. And so we want to understand the Jewish narrative in each of these countries as well. What's the Jewish story in each of these places? And if you look at the countries we chose, each one has a very different Jewish story to it. And so we're going to go and we're going to interact with the local Jewish communities and understand those Jewish stories as well, and the Jewish history and what it's like to be a Jew there now, and whether or not they have a future for them as well. And the final goal in each of these places, because we're a Zionist program, is that we do a seminar in the Israeli embassy in each of the countries we go to, where we usually meet with the ambassador and we get to understand Israel's relationship with each of these countries individually. And the more countries you go to, you get to understand Israel's place in the world and Israel's place in the international community. You can do 1 trip, all the 6 trips, no trips. It's completely up to you. If you're not doing the trips, don't worry. The rest of the program is still continuing as normal. I would say the biggest trip has 30 to 40 people on it, which means there's still over 100 people back in Israel, 150 people back in Israel carrying on the program. So you won't feel left out or left behind or anything like that. Very different from that is our NEPAL Cultural Exchange program, where we've paired up with Tevel B'Tzedek, an Israeli humanitarian organization. They have projects all over the third world. We paired up with them specifically in Nepal to do a 2-week volunteer program in Nepal. We go out to Nepal, we do a 3-day seminar in Kathmandu, learning about the customs, culture, and language of Nepalese people. And then we go out into a rural Himalayan mountain village. What does that mean? It means no running water, no electricity, there aren't real toilets, you're living in a mud hut, and you volunteer wherever the village needs you to volunteer. It's a really pure form of volunteering, and it's a very powerful experience. In the past few years, we've built greenhouses, irrigation ditches, we've painted schools, we've done cleanup campaigns, women's empowerment campaigns, we've started a couple of youth movements, and it's been a really incredible experience. Whilst we're there, we do some home hospitality with a family as well to really see how they, how the Nepalese people live. We do some trekking in the foothills of the Himalayas, because you can't go all the way to Nepal and not experience a little bit of the Himalayas. And we do some, some tourist sites in and around Kathmandu as well. Very different from that, and a little less jolly, if we're honest, is the Poland March of the Living experience. Most of you know what that is, so I don't think I need to go into too much detail, but it's basically going to Poland and understanding the history of the Jewish people in Europe and Poland specifically in the 1,000 years up to the Second World War and its eventual destruction in the Second World War, seeing the places where it happened, experiencing the places where it happened, and then we get a glimpse of the rebirth of the Jewish community in Poland in the aftermath of the Second World War. So that is the Aardvark Israel Gap Year program. That's one program. We've got 3 others, but most of them fit into the overall program. So we're moving on, but the rest ones will be a bit shorter. The Big Idea Gap Year at Aardvark Israel program is for those of you interested in tech. Those of you who want to do a year specializing in technology in the country, which is the experts at startups, and the experts at technology, the experts at creating things that you wouldn't possibly believe. And if you don't believe me, afterwards, ask Tash for all the facts and figures that she learned off by heart about how amazing Israel is in the tech world. So we've paired up with an organization that are the experts at Startup Nation in Israel called Big Idea to run a gap year program with them. The program is, you can do a 4-month program, 5-month program, or 9-month program. The 4-month program starts in Jerusalem and includes a coding course. The 5 months means you will do something called Impact Month in Tel Aviv. And the 9-month program means you will also do an internship program in Tel Aviv as well. We'll start off in Jerusalem. You can see that the program is roughly the same outline as the original program I just showed you, the Aardvark program, except when everybody else is doing internships and volunteering, you will be doing a coding course. And I'll talk about that in more detail in a minute. Otherwise, you will do the field trips with the Aardvark Israel program. You will do the classes with the Aardvark Israel program. Most of the evening activities are the same as the regular Aardvark Israel program. The major differences is the coding course, and on Sunday afternoons, something we like to call Tech Tour or TELA, which is technology, entrepreneurship, and leadership activity. Now, in terms of the coding course, you study at in downtown Jerusalem in a technological college. It's very well respected and received in Israel. You will get a certificate at the end of the course, saying all the different things that you've learned and what you've done and what you've achieved. And you're going to get all the skills you need to create web development, mobile app development, and everything else you need. The course includes HTML5, JavaScript, and a bunch of other letters and terms that I have no idea what they mean. But if you're in the tech world, you'll know what they mean. You do not need any prior experience or knowledge to do this course. You will have to take an aptitude test to check that you can handle the demands of the course. So please bear that in mind. But this is a well-respected course. You'll get a certificate at the end, and it's going to look phenomenal on your resumes as well. The other big difference, as I said before, is the Tech Tour, which takes place every Sunday afternoon. And the Tech Tour is an opportunity to go and meet with large multinational companies and small, tiny startups and in tech incubators and stuff like that as well, to learn about what makes Israel the startup nation, what makes these companies tick, what makes an entrepreneur say, oh, I'm going to have an idea and I'm going to create this thing, I'm going to change the world with this idea that I'm going to have. You're going to meet these amazing people, meet these amazing entrepreneurs, learn from them, network with them, and be inspired by them as well. The next thing you'll do is Impact Month. That is where you take the skills you've just learned in the coding course and you donate them for 1 month hackathon to a charitable organization or an NGO or a non-for-profit, and you will find tech solutions to make their company more efficient and more effective. And it's a month-long hackathon. It's an amazing opportunity. Students absolutely love it. And at the end of the month-long hackathon, you will then do a big reveal of the tech solution you've come up with for this charitable organization. And we usually invite the mayor and a bunch of other dignitaries, and the whole program comes, and it's like this really big deal. And we've done some amazing, amazing work where we've really changed organizations' lives for the better as a result of this. And then the final 4 months, you're still in Tel Aviv. Again, it's pretty similar to the regular Aardvark Israel program. You're still doing Hebrew with everybody else on the program and morning classes with everyone on the Aardvark Israel program. The evening activities are the same. You do field trips with Aardvark every other week, and they do tech tours every other Tuesday. But the bulk of the Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday you spend in your high-tech startup company in an internship. Now here we pair you up with amazing, amazing companies to get some hands-on experience in a startup company, in the startup nation. You will use all the skills you've learned in the coding course in a professional environment, in a work environment. Again, it's great for networking. You're going to meet amazing people. It's going to look phenomenal on your resume. If you're going into this field later in life, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And you get to experience working in an office environment in Israel. And that's the big idea tech track. And on this program, if you're interested, you can do some of the international add-ons. You can do one trip per semester if you want to. Bear that in mind. If you want more information about the big idea tech track, let us know. Tash in the chat of Zoom, she posted a link to get more information. So feel free to fill that out, and we can give you more information about either of those programs. A little bit different again. Our third program is the Pioneer Israel Gap Year program, and here we paired up with Hashomer HaChadash. Hashomer HaChadash is an agricultural environmental organization. It's one of the largest volunteer organizations that exists in Israel. And we've put together a gap year program that is very, very different and yet a little bit integrated into the overall Aardvark Israel program. Here we're going to form a komuna or a garin, which means there's going to be an equal number of Israelis who are doing Shnat Shirut, which is a gap, basically their version of a gap year, living and working alongside an equal number of diaspora Jews together in Jerusalem, and they're going to do the whole year together. So this is a really unique opportunity. If you want to be immersed in Israeli society, you want to make Israeli friends, you want to live with Israel and have this Israeli experience, this is it. Because you get to live in an apartment with Israelis who are your age, who are also doing their gap year experience. Now, the idea of the program is that you're going to live for a whole year in Jerusalem. You're going to live in apartments with the rest of the Aardvark program. So there's still going to be social outlet for you. You're going to be plenty of people on the program. And you still get beautiful apartments and learn life skills and everything else I already mentioned in the other two programs as well. The difference is you're going to do that. Your apartment is going to be half Israeli and half diaspora Jews as well. Again, the weekly schedule looks a little bit familiar. You're going to do Ulpan with the rest of the Aardvark program. You're going to do classes if you want with the rest of the Aardvark program. Every other Tuesday, you're going to do field trips with the regular Aardvark program. And in the evenings, most of the activities are with the Aardvark Israel program. But the major difference here is that all the daytime, volunteering, internship, etc., is all going to be spent building an inner city farm in the middle of Jerusalem, in a place called Gai Ben Hinnom, which is right underneath the walls of the old city, right next to Sultan's Pool, if you know it, Birkat Sultan, underneath the Zion Gate. We've taken a plot, we've been given by the municipality of Jerusalem, a plot of land there to build an inner city farm. You have to create and build that farm from scratch. And once it's built, you are then responsible for doing PR and bringing different groups there to educate them about environmentalism, about ecology, about recycling, about self-sustainability. The idea of the program is to work the land of Israel and then talk about, well, how do we pass this land of Israel on? That's why I called it the old school Zionism with a modern day twist, which is that we're going to work the land of Israel. We're going to really create something with our hands in the land of Israel. But we're going to also talk about and educate people about how do we keep this land for future generations? How do we pass this land on to future generations? And so you're going to be bringing school groups there. You're going to be bringing Israeli youth movements there. You're going to be bringing birthright groups there, other gap year programs there. And you're going to be educating all of these people about self-sustainability, environmentalism, ecology, etc., etc. And that's the main work you're going to be doing throughout the year. It's a really amazing and unique opportunity. There are a few other differences as well, and you can talk about that in more detail if you're interested in that program. I should mention this program, because it's very group-oriented, has a Shabbaton every 3 weeks with the people on the program. On this program, you can still earn academic credit. You can earn up to 24 credits on this program. You have the same choices as everybody else in Jerusalem, but we also offer additional workshops and training in permaculture, carpentry, sustainable farming, soil, crops, all of those kind of things you need in order to start and run an inner city farm. And again, on this trip as well, on this program as well, you also have the option to do one international trip per semester. For our final program, now this one is it's run by the Aardvark Israel program in conjunction with the Israel Volunteer Association, the largest provider for Shirut Leumi, for Year of National Service provider in Israel, but it's not integrated into the Aardvark Israel program at all. So the other three programs, they're living in the same apartments, they are integrated into the overall program to varying degrees. This is a totally separate program, so please bear that in mind. The Master Year of Service is a completely different type of experience. It is, in a nutshell, it's a volunteer program where the main focus of the program is on volunteering, on giving back to Israel. It's on having an educational program, but most of the focus is on the volunteering itself. And it's basically doing what we call in Israel, Shirut Leumi, national service. And it's a program that brings young people from around the world and gives them the opportunity to work and volunteer in the sectors of society that need it the most in Israel, so the most vulnerable sectors of society. We'll be particularly focusing on the health, education, welfare, and coexistence areas of the in terms of what we're offering. It's a 10-month program. The Aardvark Israel program is responsible for running this program for all of Europe, America, England, which is no longer part of Europe apparently, also South Africa, and also Australia as well. You can see the Australian South Africans, because they're in the Southern Hemisphere, their year starts in the middle of the Northern Hemisphere year. So you will in fact interact with like two groups of people from all over the world over the course of the program. This program starts in September and runs through to January. The program is based for 1 year in Haifa. Now, Haifa, for those who don't know it, is one of those often overlooked cities in Israel. People usually swing by, they check out the Baha'i Gardens, and then they move on further up north to Akko or to Nahariya or to Rosh Hashanah, and they miss the whole beauty of Haifa. And when you live there, you get to find out this whole other city. Haifa is amazing. It's got amazing beaches, it's got a great nightlife, it has got great history, and it's beautiful, it's stunning, and it has and it's like the center of coexistence in Israel. All the different religions are based there as well. It's an incredible place to live. Again, you will live in apartments, you will learn life skills. Same as I said before, on this program, you get a stipend that you're given towards living costs as well. So it's all the stuff I said before about learning life skills and being a young independent adult, and you're doing it in Haifa. Volunteering takes place 4 days a week for 8 hours a day. So this is a serious volunteering commitment. It is for people who are seriously interested in volunteering in hospitals or in schools or in kindergartens or in coexistence NGOs. You really, really will get an opportunity to build up your resume. You'll get real life work experience. We're going to give you on-the-job training as well. So, you're not just going to walk into the hospital and be asked to take blood. We're going to train you how to take blood, how to take blood pressure. What does that mean? How do you read these? And you can be doing real life things. With the schools and the kindergartens, we're going to train you in the Gordon College of Education, which is one of the best educational colleges in Israel. Really focuses on new techniques in education. It's an amazing place. They even have their own escape room there, which is really cool. We're going to train you, and then you're going to walk into all of these jobs and be amazing. And it's going to set you up for life. If you're thinking about career in any of these things, it's really going to set you up for life. But again, it's a serious commitment for a serious person, because it is 8 hours a day for 4 days a week. It is Shirut Leumi, as in the real sense of the term. 1 day a week is set aside for all of our educational activities. That will include ULPAN, it will include educational seminars, it will include our field trips, our hikes, our activities, our pedagogical support and guidance, workshops, professional workshops, things about the Jewish festivals, the Chagim, everything we put on the 1 day, so you have you kind of gap year experience as well. But again, I want to emphasize the main focus is on the volunteering. If you want to be immersed in Israeli society, if you want to interact with Israelis all day, every day, this is the other fantastic program for you. So it is really, it's really aimed at somebody who wants to be really involved in Israel and Israeli society as well. This program is a little bit cheaper it's significantly cheaper than all of the others, because the bulk of the program is set aside for volunteering. So before the Massa grant, it is $13,500 US. Our only requirement is that you're self-sufficient and a motivated person who wants to volunteer. And obviously, if you have conversational Hebrew, it's a bonus. It's not a must, but it's definitely a bonus as well. That's everything we have to offer. Again, I would mention that Tash wrote in the chat box for everybody that she put in a link so you can contact us for more details. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I would love, to stop talking now and let Yitz do some talking, because he's joined us and sat very patiently through my long presentation that you already knew. And then, we'll open up for questions and stuff. Thank you.
That was unbelievable. And as we are learning more, I did not do a gap year. I did high school in Israel. But the more that I learn about gap years, the more that was amazing. That was so many life-changing opportunities that you just couldn't have anywhere else, which is why I'm so excited that Yitzi is here with us today. Yitzi did the Aardvark in Israel program. So I'm going to pass it off to you, Yitzi. I'd love for you to introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about who you are and about your experience on Aardvark Israel.
Sure. Thank you so much. So my name is Yitzi. I went on Aardvark last year, so 2019 to 2020. And for high school, I went to Atlanta Jewish Academy, and now I'm a pre-med student at the University of Michigan. So I'm from here in Atlanta, and I'm actually home this semester just because my school is online, which is not great, but I'm trying to make do. Taking classes, I'm working on revising a book I wrote last summer after I got back from Aardvark, which is pretty exciting. And I'm also studying to get my EMT license here in Georgia. I did ADD-ONS in Israel, so I figured it would be nice to have two countries and be able to do it here too. So I decided to go on a gap year program because I think between high school and college is the perfect time to spend a year learning more about who you are in a setting outside of a classroom. And I wanted to take advantage of the opportunity of having a Jewish state that I could spend a year in, because not often in history have we had that chance, and not taking advantage of that just felt like what a missed opportunity. So I also felt a little burnt out from 12 straight years of school sitting in a classroom, and I wanted to spend a year not sitting in a classroom. So a lot of my friends chose to go to yeshiva or seminary to learn, which is really great for them. But I didn't really want to go across the world and sit in a room, because I felt like that was just seemed a little wrong. So I wanted to go on a program where I could go everywhere. So I was looking at Aardvark and a few other programs because they had the combo that I wanted. But I chose Aardvark because I figured it was more free thinking, and it wasn't just kind of telling you what to think. It was allowing you to choose how to think. In terms of, as a senior, the process looking into it, it wasn't very difficult. You basically just have to fill out a couple forms, like basic information forms for Aardvark, put down a deposit and get a visa. Getting a visa was the trickiest part, just because my passport numbers didn't line up and I had to get a new passport. It was very, very annoying. But the consulate is in Atlanta, like 15 minutes away, which was pretty convenient. So I love the ability in the program to be yourself and do what you want to do, and not be forced to do a very specific thing that maybe not everyone wants to do. It's very much open for students to thrive and grow themselves, and not just in like a prescribed direction or magnitude. There's an insane variety of internships in both cities. It's kind of, I almost wish like I could have gone back for another year, just because they were like, I saw other things I really wanted to do and I had to just pick one. But for my first semester, I worked on an archaeological dig, and I also did Sela, which is the religious add-on. And my second semester, I worked with Magen David Adom. And one of my favorite parts was I was able to see every part of Israel. And going into it, I was concerned about picking a program where I wouldn't spend all my time just like exploring one city. I wanted to go everywhere in the state of Israel, from the south to the north, to the east, to the west, everywhere. And by the end, I was looking at a map and I realized like I've really been to every single area. I thought that was really cool, a really amazing realization afterwards. So what I gained from the program, and it's helped me as a college student now, because I can definitely handle more than the people in my grade, and even the grade above me, really, who are the people my like exact age. But I'm more mature, independent, and capable. I know myself better. I'm not overwhelmed like a lot of students are, because sometimes students go into it and they just like get overwhelmed by the schoolwork and the social scene. But I've kind of already done it, and in a foreign country. So how hard could it be in America? I think a senior in high school should definitely consider a program, or specifically Aardvark, because it gives you the ability to be yourself and find yourself, and the independence that gives you a leg up in college and in life. And a lot of people don't get that experience. So to be able to have that experience is really incredible. Definitely helped connect my Judaism in Israel more, because Israel is kind of critical to Judaism, I believe. So being there on a Jewish program was really incredible. And there are chances you won't get anywhere else. Like Israel has such a long history, like 10 times the length of America. So being able to work on an archaeological dig where I'm finding coins from 3,000 years ago is pretty incredible. And like Simon said, swimming off the coast to find Techelet, which I won't spoil so people can contact you for information, that was really incredible. And overall, it's just I had a really great experience, and I definitely highly recommend it to others.
That's amazing, Yitzi. Thank you so much for sharing that experience and talking about what you got out of it. I'd love to hear, how did working with Magen David Adom, you said you're pre-med now at Michigan. So kind of how did having that opportunity, did you know you wanted to be pre-med and that's why you worked with Magen David Adom? Or did you work with Magen David Adom and that ignited something in you and now you're pursuing medicine? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure, yeah. So I definitely wanted to go into medicine before, but my dad always tells me, like, keep your mind open. So I wanted to do something medicine related where I could work in the field, like before I totally make up my mind about anything. Because like, what happened if I went into it and I hated it and I decided that that's not what I want to do with my life? Then it's good to realize it than 4 years later after when I'm applying to medical school. So if anything, it reinforced me wanting to go into medicine. One of the best things about it is you get to work as an EMT. You're learning. It's harder than in America because it's also a lot of the stuff is in Hebrew. So you have to learn a lot of Hebrew, and it's basically an intensive Ulpan course also. So you learn a lot of Hebrew because you kind of have to. And you get to not only help strangers, but help like fellow Jews and people living in Israel, where it's like, it's really amazing. It's like helping your family out wherever you go. It was really awesome.
That's really beautiful. And you're right. I mean, it's amazing to have that opportunity before you even choose a major to really explore that and make sure that that's really what you want to do. Because, you know, so many people get to college and are kind of still trying to figure that out while being in school. And you really had some real world experience that helped set you up for success. So that's amazing. I wanted to offer Natasha an opportunity to share. Natasha, if you had something you wanted to add to the conversation, at this point before I ask some questions.
Yes, hi everyone, my name is Natasha. I'm an admissions coordinator at Aardvark and dealing with the students who come from Atlanta. So I'm really excited to be working with you, answering any questions. So just to kind of add to what's already been said, I think that these program options give you such an amazing opportunity to experience your gap year in Israel and really customize the experience. No two people will have the same experience, and it really enables you to grow and mature as a young adult and to really get the experience that you want and personalize it for yourself. And I'm looking forward to answering any questions anyone has in the future and helping some of you with the application process.
Yes, thank you so much. Yes, with all that you guys have presented on this call, I can imagine that people interested in this program will want to reach out to you to ask more questions because there are so many nuances in what you just presented. So for those of you who are watching along on Facebook, or for those of you who are here, I am monitoring both the Facebook chat and the chat on Zoom. If you want to ask any questions, please feel free to do that. And I will pass them along, but I have some questions prepared just in case. So I'd love to talk a little bit about COVID. I mean, I feel like that's, you know, we talk about going on a gap year in Israel without talking about the realities of COVID and how COVID has affected the experience. Okay. Everyone is frozen on my screen. Oh, you're back.
I'm not frozen. You were frozen anyway. Yes, COVID. Yes, you hear me? Can you hear me?
No.
You can't hear me? Yitzi, can you hear me? Oh, everyone can hear me but you. I'll start talking. Let's see what happens. So in terms of COVID on the program, we have been running the program continuously since the pandemic started. We've brought hundreds of students, into the country since the program started, and we've made changes according to what the Israeli government has required us to make. So whether that is, apparently I'm the host now. Oh. Interesting. I can do whatever I like now. So in terms of COVID, we've shrunk the class size a little bit so that we were able to do classes in person as opposed to on Zoom as much as possible, as much as we've been allowed to. We instead of doing very large trips all around the country, we shrank the size of the groups so that we could carry on doing all of our field trips as much as possible whilst the program was running, because we were allowed like up to 20 people in a group touring outside. So we, instead of going to indoor places, we did all of our field trips and what have you on a Tuesday outside. And we shrank the group size so that we could make that happen. We had extra apartments in case people didn't like, they were empty, in case people needed to be put into quarantine. And every now and then we had to use them just in case, if someone came into contact with someone and there was a worry that they might be exposed. We dealt with that as well. So we've dealt with every possible scenario, every possible type of closure. We've still managed to give our students a very meaningful and enjoyable experience. And certainly, if you don't believe us, we've got plenty of students, plenty of parents you can talk to about the experiences their students have had whilst on our program during the COVID time and the COVID experience. And you can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and that will show you also what we're doing and what we have been doing throughout the last year now, so that you can see what we've been doing and how it's been going. That's my answer about the COVID, and that was good timing because Gilly's back now.
Thank you for continuing to just keep that going. I don't know what exactly just happened. I missed what you just said as I was in mild panic over my internet.
In the one sentence, we dealt with COVID. We know what to do. We're good. I gave a whole longer answer, but you weren't there, and you're frozen again. Uh-oh. Is anyone else monitoring the Facebook group and can ask questions? Tash, is there any questions in the Facebook group?
Yeah, there aren't any questions commented that I can see. But if anyone wants to ask questions, I can relay them to you.
Okay. Interesting. Yes, do you have anything else you'd like to add?
I'm definitely not the most qualified person to speak about Aardvark and COVID, just because I made the personal choice to leave a little earlier, but I can definitely tell you that it was handled very, very well while I was still there. A lot of transparency. They didn't leave students kind of wondering what was happening next. They kept them very informed. So I was pretty impressed with the way they handled it. Or you, I guess.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. So we've got another few minutes, so we'll just continue on for one more. Yitzi, why don't you tell us a little bit about sort of about the friends you made, and like are you still in touch with them? Is it still going on? Like what's going on with that?
So I'm absolutely still in touch with a lot of the friends I made, and I went to a very, very small high school. And when I went on Aardvark, it was a good opportunity to meet people that I normally would never, ever, ever meet, just like Jews from wherever, anywhere in the world. And I'm still in contact with almost all of the close friends I made. And I've never had close friends like the friends I made on Aardvark. They're definitely friends for life. They're not, when you're living so close to someone for so long and you like bond with them, that's something that's going to last for life. And so I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of them were at my wedding or at my children's bar mitzvahs or whatever, but they're lifelong friends for sure.
Okay. And maybe you could explain to us a little bit more about what a typical day on Aardvark looks like? Sure.
So every day is a little different. So for example, I'll say the most basic day is, let's say Monday, you wake up, you go to your Hebrew class in the morning. Then if we're in Jerusalem for me, then I'd go to my archaeological dig internship in kind of in Eastern Jerusalem. Another benefit of that is learning kind of the public transportation. I'm not so sure how public transportation works in America just because I've never really used it, but in Israel, it's pretty good and you learn pretty fast how to work it because it's kind of like do or die a little bit. Not literally, of course, but after you do your internship, you come back, you have a class or two. I had a class with a guy named Matthew Littman, which was a really incredible class. It really educated me on a lot of details of Israel and Israeli society and Israeli politics, which I love. That was one of my favorite classes I've ever taken in my life. And then there was another class after that, which was optional. I didn't take that class, so I would go home, make dinner, eat dinner, and then on Monday nights or Tuesday nights, Wednesday nights, there's usually either an optional activity or a speaker, a very wide range of speakers from politics and stand with us to people who just live in Israel and want to talk to you about what it's like to live in Israel. Just a lot of great stuff at night. I remember for the activities, there was one very cool like escape room, but it wasn't quite an escape room. It was kind of like a spy room where you had to like jump around and hit buttons and stuff. I've been looking for something like that in America for a while. I can't find it. And then you can go out with your friends if you want. You can go do whatever you want for the rest of the night and then go to bed, wake up, and Tuesdays would be the teal and Wednesdays similar to Monday and so on and so forth.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you. Tash, are there any questions on Facebook?
No, but I can
There
see.
we go. Oh, someone else is back now. Hi there. How are you?
Hi.
Hi everyone. Hi. This is Annie Fortnow from JumpSpark. Good to see you all. And just taking over for Kelly, who is having bad internet issues. Thank you for running Q&A so beautifully and going through any questions. Before we wrap up in the next few minutes, does anyone just want to share any last minute thoughts or any just last minute things that you'd like to share about Aardvark or gap years in Israel in general that we can share out with our community?
Well, I'm going to say something that you probably wouldn't expect me to say, but we've offered 4 different programs. But the truth is, Massa has over 300 programs in Israel. So even if you don't like what we've had to say today, there are many other programs out there. So there is no, honestly, I believe this with all of my heart. There is no reason not to come to Israel on a program because there are so many programs to choose from, catering to every taste you can possibly imagine. So, if you don't like, I think we're the best, but I'm definitely biased. So if you don't know what I have to say, there's plenty of other programs out there. And we're happy to talk to you, like Tasha and I, specifically Tasha, who's our Atlanta representative. We are happy to answer any and all of your questions about any of the 4 programs we talked about today. We have posted a link in the chat here, but we will also post it in Facebook. So you can follow up with us, and you can contact us from our website, aardvarkisrael.com. info@aardvarkisrael.com is our email. You can get us on WhatsApp, phone, find us on Instagram, Facebook, whatever works for you. We're around, we're available. So that's what I'll leave with. Yitzi, why don't you leave us with some wise words?
Sure. So the 3 points I would want to leave people with is know what you want and be able to ask for what you want before choosing a gap year program or before making any 100% solid decisions. Second thing is don't waste opportunities. If you see an opportunity to do something specifically in Israel, you should definitely take it. There's no reason not to, and you'll kick yourself after if you didn't. And the third thing is it's very specific, but with the Massa grant, I definitely make sure that you submit it about a day after you arrive in Israel, just because they're very specific about your eligibility. So very much stay on top of that.
Awesome. Natasha, anything to add?
Yeah, as I mentioned before, again, the amazing thing about the Aardvark program is really customizing the program and getting the best experience and making it your own. So really anyone who has specific interests or hobbies or wants to do the gap year in any way they like, we really can provide so many different options, and you can really make the best year and personalize it for yourself.
Cool. I'm going to add one more thing.
Yes.
Which is, it was amazing because JumpSpark has sort of suddenly been created and is offering these amazing grants to people to their life-changing experiences in Israel. I did a gap year when I was 18, which is a long time ago now, but it was an experience that changed my life. And if those who were listening heard Yitzi basically say it also, had a significant influence on his life as well. And JumpSpark, as I want to thank you to JumpSpark and all the people behind it and what have you, because you're allowing even more people to come to Israel, even more people to learn about Israel, and you're creating a tremendous opportunity. So thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for creating yourselves, but thank you also for allowing us to present and to be a part of this experience. We really appreciate it.
Awesome. We really appreciate you all and appreciate Aardvark for existing, for giving people these kinds of life-changing experiences. It's really amazing. Thank you all, everyone, for joining us today for this session. Thank you to our speakers for such an informative hour. Again, if you are interested in learning more about our Gap Year Scholarship and additional upcoming events, or to explore other programs, you can visit our website, which is in the link of this Facebook Live. And you can be sure to follow us on social media at JumpSpark ATL. We have a really awesome takeover from Aardvark on our Instagram story, so definitely go and check that out. And we will see you next time. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a good one. Bye.